I'm actually just going to record a short demonstration on how I use Adobe Captivate in my online courses. I'm using Ink2Go to record this, so this little bar right here actually has to do with Ink2Go. Um, but so the way these work are they're just PowerPoint lectures that I've recorded. You can record video with them or just the slides, and then you can animate on the slides. You can also embed test questions or questions throughout the lecture, and then the grades will be put into your gradebook depending on the type of learning management system you are using. My college uses D2L, and so as long as the gradebook takes SCORM data, you can use this to put your data into the gradebook and it does it automatically, or you can go in and review the results. So Adobe Captivate isn't really for the faint of heart. It's probably for the more advanced user. I'm very technologically savvy. I can figure things out really quickly. I know how to program. So you don't need to necessarily be able to do all that, but I did have to buy a book to figure out how to use Adobe Captivate. So I do have a book that teaches me how to do what I want to do with Adobe Captivate. But it is worth it if you're willing to put the time in. So what we're looking at here is just my minerals lecture. I have the volume down just because I don't want it to go over what I'm saying here. But when it's playing, you can actually fast forward the slides, you can go through slides, but you can see I went in and animated. As I'm talking, I'm pointing out the different types of minerals and I'm having arrows animate through the slides as I'm talking so that the students can see what I'm talking about. This is a very time-consuming process. It makes a very nice end product, but it does take a lot of time. So I'm just going to kind of skip through here until I find a question. So here's the question. So which of the following is true about rocks and minerals? You pick an answer, you submit your answer. That will be put into the gradebook. Hey, I selected the right answer. It will tell the students if they're right or wrong. You can set it up so it gives them an explanation of why it was wrong. If they choose a wrong answer, you can have them, the way I have it set up is that at the end of the lecture, they can go back and review their quiz, which will give them an explanation of why things are wrong. But yes, the answer is correct, so there's no explanation, but if I got it wrong, it would actually tell me that it's wrong. So this one says check all that apply because you can use different types of questions. So this is partially correct. You can have them do basically, there's a lot of different types of questions. You can have them do short answer, essay questions, multiple choice, select all that apply. Also matching where you can drag and drop questions. So like if you have something and you want it to drag to an area to like line it up. So if you have a picture and you're labeling it, you can have them drag and drop different things on the slides. So it's actually quite a powerful tool. It's really good to make sure your students are watching your lectures on an online course because the questions are embedded within the lecture. And I set it up so that they can only answer the questions once. So if they go through the lecture and don't answer any questions, they get a 0. If they skip a question, they don't get credit for that question. I also have it set up that they get 60%. So even if they get it wrong, they still get partial credit for the question. So since I'm just making sure they're going through the lecture. So if they scroll through, if they hit the button too many times, they can just skip a question and they won't get credit for it. So it does at least test to see if they're actually watching what they're supposed to or at least answering the questions. So it's more like using clickers in class. So that's one way that I use Adobe Captivate. This is another way I used it. This was preparing my online students for their mineral identification lab. So I've set this up and it has hotspots on it. So like I can scroll over these and you can see like the fingernail doesn't scratch this, the penny doesn't scratch this, glass plate it scratches this. So it's not quite exactly like what students would get in class, but it gives them an idea. Here's a strict plate. It doesn't tell them the color. It gives them a picture of the streak. Magnet didn't stick, does not taste, other properties, did not fizz. So it gives them the same information and they have to know what to do with this information to answer the questions. And basically they can fill in the hardness on here. So I already answered these questions, so it won't let me answer it right now because like I said, I have everything set up so that you can only do it once. But normally they just type in the answers right along here. this is question 2 of 2, so you can go back because this wasn't timed. And they would be able to go back and forth, skip the questions, come back to them. But once they hit submit, that's it. It only gets submitted once. Once a student completes the assignment, it shows up in the gradebook. And with D2L, it gives you like this little mine looking thing that tells you there's a SCORM data associated with it. And all you do is click on it, and it'll open this little thing. You view user SCORM data. So it tells you they're completed, time spent on it. So like you can pick one, and it tells you the question, what type of question it was, the correct response, their response, if they got it correct or not, the weight of the question and time spent on each question. So it actually gives you a significant amount of data to look over if you're really interested to see this type of information for your courses. So like I said, Adobe Captivate is actually a very powerful tool to use, but it does take a lot to learn about it and to get used to using it. But once you do, it's pretty easy. It's never going to really be super quick. It does take a lot of time to get everything in place and to animate the slides if you're choosing to animate them. So that's Adobe Captivate.